Does anyone else just not understand cancel culture at all? J.K. Rowling can be cancelled for saying that women are adult human females. The cast of Harry Potter, you know, those jumped-up millionaires who couldn't act to save their lives but became multimillionaires off the back of Rowling's magnificent creative mind. They don't even want to know her. Daniel Radcliffe especially, he'd be stacking shelves in Lidl if it wasn't for Rowling. Lady Susan Hussey, a national treasure, a lifetime of dedicated service to our royal family. She asks a woman of many different names, who is clearly confused about her own identity, where she was from. The confused charity magnate, who, by the way, may well have the Charity Commission on her case, Marlene Headley, then got Lazy Susan cancelled. In fact, she even forced her into a grovelling apology. People who said they had concerns about the COVID vaccine and dared to suggest that the coronavirus originated in a laboratory in China, despite the fact that some evidence appears to suggest that that's at least a possibility, well, they were cancelled by news outlets. They had freedoms restricted. People have been cancelled by their friends for supporting Brexit or for not wanting to live near a migrant hotel. People have been cancelled for thinking that Black Lives Matter is an inherently Marxist organisation and that taking the knee is nothing more than ridiculous virtue signalling. But people who allegedly tried to stifle an investigation into grooming gangs that systematically rape and abuse vulnerable young white girls, they don't get cancelled. They can get jobs in our public service. Presumably at the taxpayers' expense as well, by the way. This might sound unbelievable, but it isn't. GBNews' very own Charlie Peters, who's been conducting a deep investigation into grooming gangs across the country, found that a former Labour Party politician who resigned his cabinet position at Rotherham Council in 2015 amid reports that he shut down discussions on the ethnicity of grooming gangs now works as a senior diversity and inclusion manager in a major NHS body. That's been revealed. You couldn't make this stuff up, could you? Maroof Hussain was embroiled in the Rotherham grooming gang scandal in 2015 when Dame Louise Casey's review into the council named him, as it described the authority as being in denial and warped by a culture of bullying, sexism and cover-ups. Apparently, he's now working as the, you're going to love this, by the way, National Diversity and Inclusion Manager for Health Education England. So, Lady Susan Hussey asked a woman in traditional dress where she's from, cancelled. Man reportedly stifles investigation into 1,400 young girls being sexually exploited by British Pakistanis in Rotherham. He gets a job in diversity and inclusion in the NHS. In fact, the people who actually carried out the rapes and abuse, they weren't cancelled very quickly either, were they? Some would argue they still haven't been. In Rochdale, Adil Khan and Qari Abdul Rauf were members of that Rochdale grooming gang. Khan got a girl, 13, pregnant, but denied he was the father, then met another girl, 15, and trafficked her to others using violence when she complained. He still told a court that he hadn't committed that big of a crime. The pair were convicted in 2012, and it was October 2022 when they finally lost their appeal to deportation. In fact, not only were they not cancelled from Britain until recently, Ralph wasn't even cancelled from his own town. He was actually pictured shopping in a shop in the town where he abused children, which means they could have bumped into him at the shops. There are calls for J.K. Rowling to be burned alive for thinking that women are adult human females. There are calls for people to lose their jobs, never work again, become social pariahs for asking someone where they come from, for their views on immigration, Brexit and COVID. But if you happen to be someone who has tried to stifle an investigation into a British Pakistani child rape gang, you can get a job in the public sector. The world's gone mad.